That's about enough out of that. I like it. All right. Welcome back to the it's a hard fade. Welcome back to the Bobby Dizzle podcast, everybody. We've got a swell show tonight with our favorite not heavy metal person that I've mistaken. I listen to your music. I'm like, that's not heavy metal. I'm a dumbass. Anyway, you can like and follow me. I want to encourage everybody to subscribe right now before we get cracking. And all the links to me are in the description. And also, just a reminder for shameless plug. This podcast is audio only as well, or audio. I have an audio option: iTunes, Spotify, Google Podcast, and those are all on the link in the description or at bobbydizzle.com. Of course, we've got Wild Trees Biologist. His link is also in the description. I didn't forget this week. And we've got is it a band or is it just you that's a singer?
It's just me.
I keep calling you a band. I've messed. Good Lord. I've actually done research this week on you, and it sounds like I haven't. I swear to God, I've looked up your stuff.
Okay.
And one of your songs, I guess, started out with that metal.
Yeah.
I think that's where I got that at.
Yeah.
Plus the accoutrement.
I was in some metal bands.
Okay, so I'm not totally wrong. I got a solid 70% on it.
Yeah.
I'll give myself a C-.
Now I'm just.
But Keep My Secrets is his stage name, and his links are also in the description. I didn't have his YouTube, but they're quick to find. He's got a link tree there on Instagram, and he joins us he came on last week. He found our live on talking about UFOs and demons. And we decided we got to talking up, and he is just like Mr. Trees and I, and our enthusiasm for the paranormal and fascination for the unknown, the high strangeness, if you will, which I didn't know until we did the high strangeness video, that high strangeness meant, all things paranormal without saying paranormal. I learned that from our friend Travis Taylor.
Oh, okay.
So without further ado, I was going to ask you first, just start off. Did you have any experiences, or are you just a fanboy like us when it comes to the other side?
So like everybody's, you kind of see aliens in media and stuff when you're growing up, UFOs bullshit. But like when I was younger, my dad we'd go out to like these because I lived in South Carolina growing up. So like my dad would take me out to like these forests and shit, and go hiking and stuff, and just look at nature. And I remember all the time as a kid seeing like these really fast moving objects that would be like I remember like looking down into this like canyon type thing. It wasn't a canyon, but it was like a big hole type deal. I could see fast moving objects. It was like little rods just like flying through the air. And I just remember being like, do you see that? Do you see that? My dad was like, oh, it's probably just bugs or whatever. And it's just kind of like one of those like things in the back of your mind kind of haunts you forever, but you don't think too much of it. But then like I was sitting on the couch one day, and my dad's always watching History Channel, and I think he's sleeping or some shit. And it's one of those situations where you go to change the channel, and he's like, I'm listening to that, comes back away. And
I did that today.
Yeah, it happens all the time. Now that I'm an adult, I do it all the time. People are like,
I'm watching that.
I'm watching that. Dude, this documentary comes on the History Channel about rods, and I'm just blown away. I'm like, dude, what the fuck, man? There's like a whole documentary on these things that like I'm now remembering like immediately from like when I was a kid. Like as soon as like I saw that, I was like, my dad told me those were bugs. You know what I mean? I watched the whole documentary, and it was the only time I'd ever heard about that. I don't really hear about it anymore, but that got me like back into the UFO subject, I guess, or not back into it, but that got me really interested in the UFO subject. My first time around, because I've fallen out of it a couple times, but my first time back around into UFOs, it was the rods that really got going.
Yeah, the rods thing. I remember early '90s that was popping off as like a late night television documentary craze, and my dad said the same thing. That's just a damn bug.
Yeah, them weren't bugs.
Can I call you? Is it Ferrari?
Yeah,
Ferrari. Okay. Hey, nice to meet you, Ferrari.
Nice to meet you,
yeah, I was gonna say about the rods. So I got funny stories about rods too. Like, okay, I remember. It was late '90s. It was pretty big too, because I remember I was a freshman in college.
Or the early 2000s.
Yeah, early 2000s. Because I remember it was 2001, my first semester of college, and my physics teacher, he said he would give us like an extra credit A if we filmed a rod. That's what he told us. So
That's so crazy.
yeah,
I'm pretty sure he wanted a dick pic.
Yeah.
Wild trees.
Maybe that's what he meant.
I think you misunderstood the assignment, and this is awkward. You may want to report that guy.
No. Previously, we had
like I had never even like because I guess I couldn't tell you what age I was when this documentary come out, but
right.
Yeah.
I was still a kid for sure. So it's not like you have like people to talk to about shit like that. It's just kind of something that I don't know.
What did you go anywhere to try to shoot the rod footage?
I think that's for you.
Yeah. Well, did you try to get the footage? I mean, not being facetious anymore.
I thought about it. Myself. Sorry, I thought about it really hard, and I was like, no, I just took another professor. I was like, this guy, I don't know if he's gonna give me a fair shake. No. But I did think about it. I did think about the rod footage, and the other thing about rod is that it falls into another category of paranormal phenomenon, and these two things are there. And what's really fascinating about it is that there's actually a lot of data available. Like there's a lot of information there. Just nobody's looked at it closely. So the other phenomenon it reminds me of is orbs on film. Yeah. So a lot of people shoot orbs on film, and I've seen infrared video of orbs on film, and I'm fascinated by it. Now, I understand people say it's dust and garbage in the environment, but the way the orbs move, it looks like I'm looking at an aquarium. It's really, really crazy, the motion. And I've thought of experiments I could do. I basically outlined complete experiments I could do. I haven't finished any yet because it takes a lot of time. But I've outlined experiments to do with the orbs to see if there's actually something there other than dust and garbage. Basically, one of the simplest things I could do is just get my camera, my infrared camera, in a room with orbs, right? And once I'm getting orb activity, just turn on a fan and see how the fan interacts with the orbs. Because if it's dust, it would move a certain way. Yeah. And then the other thing is, to get even more complicated, I could get a lot of filters in the air, like a lot of HEPA, which are like a certain certification of filter, and really just clean the room, even test it for cleanliness, and then see how much orb activity I get, count before and after. Like I said, I've outlined those experiments, but it would take a lot of man hours, I'll tell you right now. But it is an idea that I want to do in the future. Now, going back to rods, I think they're in the same category as rods because a lot of people say that rods are just insects moving quickly, and the film is not able to keep up because film only has so many frames or pictures per second. Like 20, 24, 30 is usually not that much. But what's interesting about your case is there is no camera involved. Like you were seeing them directly with your eyes. Is that correct?
Yeah. So and something that I saw in the documentary that tore me up was like that, man, because it's always like stuff that like points you towards like, oh yeah, like I don't know how to explain with words, but it's like, it was like, oh yeah, they say that only like kids could see them, because something about like children's eyes like pick up a faster frame rate or some bullshit.
That makes sense.
Some bullshit. I don't know, but that's what I heard. That's not what I believe. Like I wouldn't go, tell a lecture on it. But that, that was some of the information I heard. But yeah, and that's what got me back. No, I keep saying back into it, but got me into it. And then I think the same day that I really went kind of crazy on the subject, that first initial day, I had seen some footage of like this tether, what I'm talking about, in space. This big tether.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm talking about?
I've seen that video. Yeah.
There's all kinds of stuff. It looks like you're looking under a microscope, basically.
Mm-hmm.
It's a weird video.
So the tether video, did it also have like rods, or what was it about that video?
Like cigar-shaped cylindrical. It's like shit.
Oh yeah.
And a bunch of like donut-looking things.
Yes, I remember.
Thousands of things over there.
And that's what they always show out the window of those space shuttles. Those little square orbs with the hole in the middle.
Yeah.
I'd like to ask you some more questions.
Yeah, go ahead.
If I could ask you, Ferrari, just some more questions about the case, basically. If you could take your mind back to your younger body.
Yeah.
All right. So I guess first of all, how many were there, do you think, when you were looking down? If you just had to guess, was it dozens or less or more?
Probably up to a dozen. Yeah.
Okay. Pretty good. Okay. And were they different lengths, or were they all the same length? And what was the size you would estimate they were large?
No, not very large at all. I'd probably say like that big tops, but like like it's hard to say from a distance. You know what I mean? But they were decently far away. They were decent.
Yeah. My other question was there anything else flying with them, like a regular animals that you could compare them to?
There was definitely bugs that were bugs, like undeniably. Okay. Nothing that would make you go, hey, hey, Dad, what the fuck is that thing? You know what I mean?
Okay.
It's just bugs.
Now, so if you could, so you know how big a bug is, they're very small. So now thinking back, if you could think about how the bugs were and how the rods were, so how big would you say they were then? If you could use the bugs as a ruler, basically, do you still think it's about like a foot, like you were saying? Is that still like an accurate? Okay.
Yeah, something like that. Depending on how far they actually were to where I was, you know what I mean? Because like I said, I was looking downwards into like a dark thing, you know.
Interesting.
Yeah, a lot of the rod documentaries that I saw back in the day were in like cave areas and canyons against very outdoorsy, rocky places.
Yeah. It'd have been in South Carolina, North Carolina, something like that.
The really interesting
mountains there.
Yeah. The interesting thing about those rod things is that, I mean, if I just had to compare it to other animals that I know, it probably would be a kind of insect. I'm not saying that's boring. I'm just saying it,
or something like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's potentially a very large species of undiscovered.
So fast, but it didn't have. They were just rods. Didn't have wings.
Yeah,
like that you saw them is the craziest thing.
Yeah, I saw them. Yes, like they're zipping about fast as shit. You know what I mean? Like,
so they had no.
When they showed pictures of rods in the documentary, I was literally like, "What the fuck? They look like little arrows." You know what I mean? It looks like somebody shot an arrow out of a bow.
I'm looking these up.
There's no like part where it's like, "Oh, this is the fat part." It's like it has like little. I don't know. It's just a rock.
And what was the motion? I know it was fast, but were they doing loops? Were they doing circles? Or were they just going in one direction and quickly right turn another direction? You know?
One direction, really. I mean, not all. I mean, they were going in different directions, but it was pretty much a straight line from what I could tell. Because it was like they were just flashing in, flashing out. You couldn't really keep your eyes on them. You just saw them.
It's crazy how all these videos I'm looking at, they're all like I can see where one would think it's just the hang on. Melinda actually spoke for this just a second ago. Let me let the smart people step in. Where'd she go? Come on.
I think she's the one that coined the term high strangeness as well.
Where'd we get high strangeness? There we go. Here we go. Sorry. She says it sounds like Brownian motion.
Interesting.
I just don't know what that is. And I thought maybe
I'll have to look. I'll have to look at it. It's probably, if I had to guess, it's probably the phenomenon of our eyes or a camera getting tricked by fast-moving objects.
Yeah, that's what I was in context clues.
Well, I was going to say the interesting thing is, look, if they are an animal, the way they're described, it sounds like there'd be a lot of them. It doesn't sound like a rare animal, just because it sounds like other insect-type animals. I'm not saying it is an insect. Anyway, what I'm trying to say is that it'd be fairly easy to do an experiment to see what they really are. That's what I'm trying to say. Either way, whether there's something new or it's just Brownian motion, a simple experiment could clear it up. But just nobody's done it yet, including myself.
I haven't seen them since I was a kid.
Do you want to know a weird tie into that? When we were coming home when I was a kid, I'm talking about like 5 years old in that neighborhood. I would always see what you would call kind of a squiggly rod in the headlights when you're coming down the road. I guess that kind of speaks to the frame rate of the being a kid. But nowadays in the same headlights, I only see like the bugs. I don't ever see the straight. I remember seeing straight lines. Like I don't know if you've ever seen like a rubber worm you fish with. How it about that long, big as a pencil, but squiggly. It looked like that, like hundreds of them coming at. Now I don't see it. Now I just see the moths. So maybe it has something to do with the frame rates. Oh, here comes Melinda. Brownian motion. Random motion of particles. Talking about random movements of orbs. Okay, it makes sense.
Okay, Brownian motion is the random motion of particles. Well, yeah, I guess that would be another test. Would be
she's talking about the orbs.
So yeah, another test for orbs could be like taking the raw footage of the orbs and testing it against the criteria for Brownian motion. And if it does fit all the criteria for Brownian motion, then it's Brownian motion. It's just random particles. But if it doesn't, that's where there's something interesting.
I know at the Sorrel Weed House in Savannah, it's a ghost hunt house, ghost tour. It's where my wife saw like a glimpse of a Civil War soldier standing next to me. It's kind of insane. But they have the the black and white IR footage, IR camera going live.
Yeah.
And when you walk up to it, all you see is the orbs. And this was back when taps first got popular, and Scooby Douchebag Zach Bagan was just now coming up.
Yeah.
And so everybody's like, "Oh, orbs!" And the guy's like, "Those are just dust." But yeah, I could see that was a ton of orbs, which makes me wonder if it was asbestos, because that was a 300-year-old house, and it was just, I mean, it was covered. It's like watching Snowstorm.
Yeah.
I thought about that today, looking back. I'm like, we probably should have been breathing that.
Everything was made of asbestos.
Dude, this was like
Serious.
revolutionary. This was a Revolutionary War era house. No telling what was in there.
Yeah.
There's also ghosts, though. It was real.
Yeah, but now that you mention it, that children eye thing, there has to be some truth to it. I mean, because it is true that people's vision degrades with age. So that's
something that I just remembered. But
yeah.
I don't know if there's any validity to it, but it's interesting. You know what I mean? Make for a great.
It's just like what if it's like a cryptid, like the little people we always hear about?
Yeah.
The unsung hero of the cryptic world, the Rod.
There's also
Christopher Bledsoe. You've heard his story?
I have not.
Chris Bledsoe. You'll just have to check him out sometime. Too much to get into, but him and his son apparently got abducted, and they film orbs over their house like every night on Instagram. Every night.
I've seen those videos. Yeah, there are a lot of them.
He has a podcast called Bledsoe Said So, and he's been contacted by everybody. Like I think Jacques Vallée's even been out to his house.
Ooh, Jacques Vallée. Nice.
So super cool shit. But he was abducted, and he had a bunch of witnesses and stuff, and it super crazy. These balls of fire. He was like out in the forest. He had taken some people fishing, and he was out there, and he had this disease, I guess it's Crohn's disease and some other things, and he was just out of work, and he was just down bad, and he was just out in the woods just crying away from his friends so nobody'd see him being a bitch. And I guess just something was listening to him, and he looked up and he saw what he thought was the moon, but it was just this thing, you know. And then there was another thing, and then there was like some kind of alien thing. I don't know.
That was in the Carolinas, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was North Carolina.
And did he get healed by that?
Yeah.
Am I making that up?
Yeah.
Okay. Somebody we talked to not too long ago mentioned that.
Took away his Crohn's disease. Yeah.
I think Preston didn't mention him, I believe.
He swears they're aliens. Or not aliens, but angels. They gotta be like good. I don't know.
Interesting.
Uh-oh. We've got conflict here. So it sounds like Reek and respectively disagrees.
Oh, disagree. Bledsoe is credible.
See, this is the reason I wish we could just click on somebody and bring them in the chat.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
that would be cool as hell.
What is he saying by that? I respectfully disagree. Bledsoe is credible. I'm not saying he's. I'm not trying to discredit Christopher Bledsoe.
Wait, I think I read the sentence wrong.
I respectfully disagree. Bledsoe is credible. I was on show with his son. So you think he's full of shit, or you think?
I think he means he is credible. Wait, when did we say he wasn't?
Yeah, I don't think anybody did.
I want to clear that up before we go.
Way to go, Reekin, causing conflict on my podcast.
I comment on his Instagram all the time. I like Chris, and he's definitely filming some stuff. I don't know what it is, but he's
like I said.
Nightly.
Oh yeah, he wasn't saying he was he wasn't saying he wasn't credible.
Okay. He posts on Facebook too. That's how I saw him. I think I'm friends with him, and I just saw his videos.
He's an older fella. I'm sure he does post on Facebook too, but I know about his Instagram account. I think his kids have a. No, for sure.
He said we got it. I don't know. That's funny.
What was?
He's how we read his sentence wrong. I was tripping out. I was like, wait, no one said he wasn't credible.
He's incredible.
Yeah, he's got the IMDb of it's amazing. He's got pictures of it.
Of what?
Just from the documentary, IMDb page.
Mm-hmm. Oh, okay. Interesting. Yeah.
Crazy.
Huh. What do you think about Jacques Vallée? You mentioned his name. Are you a fan? What do you think about his main idea that UFO activity is not extraterrestrial?
It's interdimensional stuff?
Yeah.
Oh, man. I'm just not smart enough to really get into that. But I think probably, yeah. I mean, I think that, best case scenario is this whole thing is like a fucking simulation prison planet, and the aliens are like admins just kind of no clipping around like, hey, just coming through to unfuck stuff, and then also to wreak havoc a little bit. Fuck it.
Yeah.
I'll just no clip in here and do this thing real quick. They can't see me unless I want them to.
I have
That's
like
what
a low key theory about what the no clip is. I think that it's a common technology that all the
yeah. Oh yeah.
Whatever you have it, have like they have like the Android no clip and the Apple no clip, and you have.
And I told you how it works. So you pick it up at Best Buy, intergalactic Best Buy, and then this is how it works. It basically, I think what it does is it vibrates your matter at such a high frequency that it's able to pass through other solid matter that's not vibrating.
How is that going to give you cancer? You're getting cancer. You're vibrating that quickly. You're going through walls. You also have cancer too. Maybe it's not look like that.
What if every year they build themselves a new body because that one's full of cancer? They're like, we have the bodybuilder, so we'll just transfer our consciousness every year.
It's like Ghost in the Shell.
Right.
It just seems like every cryptid you have does the same thing, and the orb seems to be like their common vehicle.
I like
their Uber.
The Federation shit. It's like like Bigfoots and everybody. They're all together, like chilling.
Mm-hmm. I had the world famous theory that Bigfoot is a biological suit for a little gray, right. So they can be down here for longer periods of time.
Wait, what is it now?
That Bigfoot's a biological suit, like an astronaut suit.
Yeah.
That's what the aliens that can't come to Earth, because what we've been told is they're the big time aliens, the ones that meet with Eisenhower, the White House lawn aliens.
Yeah.
They're the one, they can't come down here because our vibration's too low. That's why they're always hovering. The ones we get are the little drone aliens, the grays.
Yeah.
But maybe the Eisenhower aliens come down in the big feet.
Maybe. And then
it'd make a good J.R.R. Tolkien book, I'll tell you that.
Goofing off in the woods.
Yeah.
No, I like the idea. Because, like, if I was going to build a vehicle to go through the forest really quickly and climb, what would it look like? It would probably have a lot of similarities with a Bigfoot, long arms, really muscular, powerful. So yeah, I do like the idea of Bigfoot being used somehow and taking advantage of its adaptations for forest travel and forest life. Because forest, that's a place they would be interested in visiting. I really think that paranormal hotspots are the same as like biological hotspots, because I've seen a correlation. I had a really intense paranormal encounter, I guess. Well, it lasted a long time. I basically think I was called on the phone by 2 aliens. And it was basically, I don't know if they were prank calling me, but anyway.
We're telling this story. All right.
But at the time, I was at a biological research station. I was like, this is one of the like most biodiverse areas in the world. There's almost nobody in that town. It was very lonely. It was just nothing but woods. And I've worked there, so I know it is very diverse there. And there was a UFO sighting as well. Very close to where I was like a week before. So there's this other town. I was in this town called, what was it called? Saratoga. And there was another town called Sour Lake. And a man in Sour Lake, which was like 10 minutes away, filmed the UFO for a long time. And then there's another town near there called Votah. And Votah has a dogman sighting. And there's Bigfoot sightings all over the area. There's a road called Ghost Road that's apparently you can see orbs of light with your naked eye. So I think whatever they are, that paranormal stuff, it's attracted to biological hotspots. They like all the different types of animals that are there.
It's crazy. I wish just somebody would give me a call and just be like, all right, so this is what's actually going on.
Let me give you look. I fucked up that call.
I feel like I'm just
I thought so. So where's the other half of that story at?
I'll tell you the rest of it. I fucked up the call, man. Okay, one lesson. Okay, if somebody calls you and you think it's an alien, okay, first take a couple deep breaths and don't freak out. Okay, try to write it out. Okay, don't be like me. Okay. Also, I think every human should be ready. Should be expecting a paranormal thing to happen at any moment, because you want to be on your guard. Because I feel like a lot of people freak out and you could lose like a valuable experience, because I think it would have gone better for me. So anyway, I was at this research station. I stayed there for a whole month of December, part of January, by myself in this big house in the forest. Now I got to stay at a house because I was a researcher. It was for scientists. So it had a kitchen, it had everything. And I got to say, I had so much fun. I mean, like, I was by myself on Christmas and New Year's Day, and I was in the woods taking pictures, having fun. Probably my favorite Christmas ever. So every day for like a month and a half or a month and a week, I would go out with this other researcher, and we would look at clams. I would take pictures. I would do my science stuff. But I got to say, at night, I was terrified. It was it was incredibly lonely in that house. It was very cold. I didn't have access to the thermostat. It was so scary. Like when you would go outside, you could look at the sky, you would see like every star in the sky clearly just from the front porch.
Yeah.
And I was very scared at night. I was terrified. I was reading UFO stuff too. And I remember the only other living thing in that little cabin house thing was a roach that lived in the bathroom. And it was a good looking roach. It wasn't an invasive species. I believe it was an outdoor American roach that was coming inside for shelter. And I loved it so much because I was like, we're the only two living things in this cabin, just me and you, buddy. Anything could happen. So I tried feeding it mango and stuff, but I don't think it ever ate it. Well, one night I got a phone call. Okay, I believe it was on my cell phone. And so it was nighttime. I was on edge, like I told you. So I was like, hello, and I hear somebody talking to me, and I'm immediately confused. And so I'm assuming the first thought I had was like, someone's got the wrong number and they're speaking a foreign language. So I was like, I'm sorry, I don't understand what you're saying. But then it got stranger. The high strangeness increased. Well, I noticed a few other things happening. I noticed that the voice did not sound like human at all. It didn't sound gender specific either. That's very interesting. It was like ambiguous. It wasn't like a female voice, a male voice. Didn't sound like a human voice either. It sounded like a goblin or a fairy. That's what I think a goblin or a fairy would sound like from medieval times, like this thing. Then I realized that the language he was talking, or it was talking, was using English words, but the words were not used in the correct order or anything. So it was just like, it sounded like random English words, but it did have the rhythm of language. And I've since read that a lot of times when people see a UFO occupant, when they see somebody come out of a UFO, they'll talk it the same way. Not the voice, but the language will be English, but it'll be fucked up English. Doesn't make any sense.
Like how the Men in Black talk too, allegedly.
Okay, yeah, exactly. Mm-hmm. So then then it escalated some more. I was already scared. I was like, this is an alien and I'm gonna get abducted, and what am I gonna do? Because then what happened is another one came on the phone. Okay, so then now it was a three-way call. So this other thing, it was interesting. It sounded like its buddy, like they were talking the same language, but yeah, it was a different voice. It was a little bit different. So there were two of them talking to each other and then talking to me. And then they started laughing. Okay, I could hear them laugh. It was clear. I was freaking out. I was at level 10. Okay, this is where I would have backed up. Okay, if I could go back, and I would have chilled out, like took a couple deep breaths and tried to talk to him some more, invite him over for a beer, and just be friends with him. But I was scared, which is what you should not do. And then they were laughing at me, so I was like, okay, I got to do something. I've been in similar situations before. Like one time, what I mean is when I go to this area, sometimes I get in trouble and I almost die. And one time I was in this river with a research assistant, long story short, and there was some quicksand. And I got stuck up to my thighs in quicksand, and I started freaking out. But then my research assistant was very light, did not weigh at all. So they were walking on top of the quicksand and they weren't sinking, which was fascinating. I was like, they can't break the surface tension, but I can. Yeah. Anyway, I didn't freak out, and I didn't. My research assistant was having so much fun. I didn't want to scare them. I don't want to be like, hey, can you help me? I'm in trouble. So I slowly got myself out. I stayed calm. The reason I'm saying that is because that's what happened again. I was like, okay, here I am again in the forest. Now I'm being talked to by these two aliens. What am I going to do? I'm scared. So this was the plan I made. I said, while they were on the phone, I was like, let me listen closely to everything they're saying, and let me memorize something and say it back to them. Let me talk back with their language, right? That's all I could think of. Okay, so the phrase is very silly. What I remember, as clear as I can, is probably wrong, was, where's the bucket, Leroy? Where's the bucket, Leroy? I believe that's what I remembered. So then I remembered it, and I started saying it back to them and then shouting it back to them. And then I went outside in the cold. I started screaming it. Where's the bucket, Leroy? And then they did click. They hung up on me, and I was like, okay, I guess I'm not getting abducted. I freaked them out. I'm the one that's crazy at that point, not them. But that's basically it. That's what happened. I don't think it was someone prank calling me, because I could see the voice being changed, but to make up a language like that and keep it up for so long, I guess anything is possible.
You should make a t-shirt that says that on there.
Yeah, there's some meaning to it, actually. I told Bobby about this. Okay, so this story goes on. Here's a little, what is it called? Epilogue to the story. Okay. I found out about this book called The Secret Cipher of the Euphonauts. Long story short, you haven't heard about this book. Apparently, the author made a code where you're able to interpret what these beings say to you and get the true meaning. So, like the Mothman prophecies, Ingrid Cold was talking to him. We get messages all the time. So then this other scientist, which I always forget his name, I'm so sorry. I'll put the link to it on this video. But this scientist, this author, he made it a website where basically he took the cipher. All you got to do is type in your words. So anybody could do this. Type in the words that the alien told you, and just hit enter, and it'll decode it for you. Okay. So what happened? I saved it. It's on my tablet, but I'll just tell you what I remember. So it gives you like 10 options. Okay. And then I remember the top one of the top 3 ones. This is what it said very clearly. It said, not exactly, but basically it said, UFOs are coming and they're going to be cubes inside of spheres. That's what the message translated to. And that is happening. Those UFOs are being reported on the East Coast and the West Coast. And that's odd. It's very odd.
That's the ones that the military are seeing right now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly.
Cubes and spears.
Every day.
When I found that out, I was like, boom. Like I said, I heard this message back in 2016, I believe, or 15. And I didn't hear about this report.
Hiding out right now?
What's that?
Where's Lou Elizondo hiding out right now?
I think he's at a private company now. He's at a new company. He's not with To the Stars Academy of Arts and Science.
He hasn't been with it for a while. I don't think Christopher Mellon's with him either, but that fella is so full of shit.
Really?
Who was it? Did you say?
Lou Elizondo.
Man, a name sounds so familiar.
He's the guy that did all the talking.
Yeah.
He did all the talking.
He's like Hispanic looking. He's got like a soul patch,
He looks like he listens to POD.
Exactly. Okay, Ferrari, why don't you convince me? What's the top 2 reasons he's full of shit? Because I'm on the fence about him, and maybe I'm just...
Dude, you're a fucking like high-ranking military intelligence guy. Like you don't just... I'm gonna flop. I'm gonna flip on my shit. Like you're counterintelligence forever. You're not just counterintelligence till like you're done with it. Like you're counterintelligence. It's the same thing with the Richard Doty shit. People are like taking what he says at face value. Like you're a fucking problem. You need to get the fuck out of the community. Like you don't need to be voicing your opinion on shit. Honestly,
I know who that guy is. I just didn't recognize the name.
What's worse than a snake oil salesman is a snake oil buyer. You know what I mean? So it's like, dude, like. You can get on like that Gaia website and watch the content where they have that Doty guy on there, and he'll talk to those fuckers, and they're just sit there just blowing each other's minds with all the bullshit they come up with. It's like, well, you come up with that on the spot, like, yeah, underground labyrinth or whatever. So it's ridiculous. That's what I think when I see Lou Elizondo talking fucking Tucker Carlson. I'm like, oh my god, dude, come on.
Okay, do you think there's any truth to anything? Maybe he's mixing real stuff. Like, what about the observables, the 6 observables, or whatever?
Sure, the 6. What? Who fucking cares? It's 6 observables. Yeah, that's nothing new. That's nothing new. They don't make noise. There's nothing coming out the ass of them. There's no fucking wings. Am I supposed to have my mind blown or some shit? Like, yeah, the 6 observables. Okay, what? Yeah, it didn't make noise, and it was fucking hovering. And there was no way. Yeah, that's nothing for me. But it's like, I don't know, man. It's just like I feel like him and Jeremy Corbell and just all these people are just kind of fucking with everybody. It's just like, I don't know. It's I don't know. They
when things are going to change.
Maybe the whole thing is a psyop. That's how they make me feel.
Could be.
Blue beam.
No, it could be. That's what I was thinking. When you were talking about Lou Elizondo, I was like, yeah, maybe this is he's deep undercover. It's a sigh of a sigh, He's double timing us.
Yeah, but at that point, I'm fucked because I'm just too stupid to deal with it.
What I was going to say is this is what I think needs to happen for us to see big change, okay? Yeah. And the thing is, we're headed that direction, but super slow. But basically, once we get a release of a video that's super clear and super extraordinary, and it could stand up to analysis, that's when things will change. Yeah, we haven't got that video yet.
Yeah, it ain't coming. Like, there's people out there that still don't like. You figured that 2017 New York Times, you figured that would be the thing that like shook everybody, and it got a couple people, but like still, people just don't give a shit or haven't heard about it at all.
I don't think it's coming either. I think that's the reason we haven't got Bigfoot footage. I think if it was possible, we'd have reels of it.
Talking about like a 27-minute video or something, or like 20-minute video for how long it's supposed to be coming out, and all these people have seen all this shit, and it's just the whole subject, the whole community is just, I don't know. I don't know. Like even James Fox, like you have to like buy it. I'm pretty sure you have to buy his new documentary to watch it. You know what I mean?
I'm sure,
the Brazil case or whatever. Like that's just trash. That's trash.
A paywall.
Big paywall. I mean, I get like like a rental fee or something like that, but like you have to buy the movie, like $20 to watch your damn movie.
I think that guy, I know who you're talking about now. I looked him up. He was the one that people were saying he was put out there as a shill.
Yeah.
I've heard that tale before, but
yeah.
I don't know. I haven't listened to that much of him.
If you can't come out and say that openly, like you just get attacked. Like I've been blocked by so many UFO Instagram pages. Just blocked. Like they don't have any kind of discourse with you about it. You know what I mean? They just block you. And it's like I'm not like a bot account. Like I'm a real person. Like I'm just a regular guy. And that's just what I'm picking up on. Like there's people that make like, they're going schizo over this. They're spending a lot of time digging into this shit. I'm just a regular guy. So this is what I see. I think that Lou Elizondo fell is full of shit.
What do you think is stopping? I have my answer, but what do you think is stopping?
Because what's stopping all the information from coming out? Because it's really like on some mystical shit. Like people say it is. Like it's really some mystical shit. Your leaders are really doing some twacked out wackadoo shit, and I don't know. There's probably like crafts that have been uncovered from archaeology digs, and it's like occult stuff, and the Nazis were doing shit with the damn things, and it's creepy. The whole subject is fucking creepy, and people die, and it's secrecy, and it's never coming to light.
It's funny you brought up the archaeological thing. I had to work kind of late last night, so I threw on the Rogan Bob Lazar episode.
Yeah,
kind of his background noise, and just to make sure I still had everything working. Yeah. He was talking about how it was found in an archaeological dig.
Yeah.
Some of them, he said.
That one.
Yeah, I don't know how many he said there was. There was like 9 of them or something like that they had at the time. And some of them were from archaeological digs, and some of them were for, wherever they may be. Probably some of the Nazi shit. I'm sure Russia took some of it. I'm sure America got some of it too.
I think Lazar's legit.
Those books, yeah, I think he is too. But those books that Tom DeLonge was writing with that dude, they had some interesting stuff about the Nazi shit.
Would you say that Lazar was the sexiest man in the business?
Probably. The rest of them didn't come out and go on the news and talk about it. So
I think Wild Trees called him that or something. Would you call him the sexiest man in the UFO?
The thing, everybody talks about Bob Lazar.
Pussy. And he was selling pussy.
He was.
Cool guy. He was
a cool guy. Everybody talks about Bob Lazar, right? It's always like Bob Lazar, blah, 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 disclosure. But they never say the most important thing about him, which is how incredibly handsome he was, especially when he was younger. And
what I want to know is he still with his wife that cheated on him?
He's with someone, but no,
imagine getting the news that way. God,
you did get the news that way. Yeah,
you're fired. You're fired because your wife cheated on you. What?
Yeah, they got divorced. They did get divorced. Yeah,
I think it would happen.
That would make a great movie. I think somebody made a music video. Somebody made a rap music video, and it's the story of Bob Lazar. It's pretty awesome, actually, but it's only 3 minutes long. But they should make a movie.
Try to find a link for that. I'd like to see that.
Yeah, you guys will like it.
Oh.
Bob Lazar is not handsome.
Whoa! Shots fired.
When's that crossed the bow?
Who's the most handsome in the UFO community? I'm gonna go with Richard Dolan.
Yeah, no, he's a fox.
Richard Dolan is the most handsome ufologist.
Whoever the dude is from Ancient Aliens with the hair, that's my vote.
Okay.
Yeah.
No,
Jamie, can you pull up a picture of young Bob Lazar, please, Jamie? Thank you.
Hang on. Am I Jamie in my own podcast?
Sorry.
This is my fate.
I thought I'm
okay with this. I got to look for myself because he looks like a Bill Gates that worked out just slightly.
Yeah, there you go. That's a great way of describing it.
It's like he drove a jet car, like he was a cool
the jet Honda.
Yeah. He got in a newspaper for his jet car.
I don't know what you consider handsome, but young Bob Lazar looks like Jeffrey Dahmer.
Dude, and bitches are going crazy for young Jeff.
Exactly.
Well, you got a point there.
My boy Young Jeff had all the
young Jeezy.
No.
All these pictures look like I wouldn't let him near my children.
Got to get the glasses, of course. You got to get the striped shirt, get the glasses.
I'm telling you, if I could if I looked remotely decent in those glasses, I'd buy a pair. I'm not even kidding.
I think Bob Lazar is legit. I think Lou Elizondo is full of shit. I think I've listened to about probably like 16 hours straight of Lou Elizondo speaking. I just think he's full.
I just don't. Yeah, the mediums in which he is on, the channels just tells me a lot. If they let him on there,
he's been on podcasts and stuff. He's been on I've watched a bunch of
just mainstream media just tells me if they let him say it, it's probably not true.
I mean, I don't mind you going on the mainstream media, the Fox and the MSNBC and CNN. Like, I wouldn't give a shit because that's how you got to get it out there, you know. But you got to come with something. Like you just talking over the same 3 fucking clips. I just don't give a shit.
We had a Jeffrey Dahmer thing's killing me. We had from Cosmic, a listener, Cosmic, like, comment, subscribe, Cosmic. We probably already have, but has a question that kind of relates. What do you think scarier though, the space or the ocean?
Interesting.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
They're both the same thing to me.
Yeah, one's kind of just a different medium. They're both kind of someplace you can't go.
I would say space because space is infinite, and the ocean is finite. It does have an end to it. Oh,
that's spirit. That's a good answer. Yeah, the ocean is scary. If we can compartmentalize the different versions of scary, like a snake's scary for a different reason than an alligator's scary. If that makes sense. Like the ocean is like right here next to us, and that's like having a crazy next door neighbor. But the space is like living next to Russia. If that makes like space, ocean's right there, and no telling what's in it. Yeah. It's like living next to Jeffrey Dahmer.
The aliens under there too. I like the crypto terrestrial stuff, like Mactonies and stuff.
I'll take that all day.
You know what's really interesting? There's a movie.
Go ahead.
Spirit Travels. I was going to say there's a movie. I just saw a movie a few days ago. It's all about crypto terrestrials, and it brings up a lot of solid questions about crypto terrestrials. It's actually got 2 crypto terrestrial races in it, which is Wakanda Forever. So Wakanda Forever, it is a comic book movie. It's about 2 crypto terrestrials going to war with each other, and the United States is in the middle of the conflict. It's fascinating. One of the crypto terrestrials is from the ocean floor, and the other one is just like a hidden terrestrial country. But they both have high technology. They both have UFOs. It's just like there's a lot of parallels to real life. I think that shit is going on in real life.
Yeah, I mean the whole the Operation High Jump and getting past Antarctica stuff, that could be true too. I don't know shit. I don't have an airplane. I can't fly over Antarctica or past it.
Who was it that said there's an AI in Antarctica? Was that Dolly?
Dolly said there's a supercomputer, super quantum computer
that they're keeping cold in the Arctic.
Yeah, you got to keep it cold.
Yeah,
that's a hell of a server room. I bet the Antarctic. I bet the people who run the facilities in Antarctica they're not packing things in that server room. I bet it's just all supercomputer.
I was trying to think of a cool Eskimo joke, but I can't.
It's not the same continent.
No, that doesn't matter.
So, real quick, or maybe not quick. The Spirit Travels. I'm circling back to your comment about the wilderness of Texas and the lights in the sky. Spirit Travels was actually on my podcast, but we had some technical issues, so I never aired it. Her name is Karen Pedroza, who she is from she's from the Appalachians. I'm not going to butcher it because we talked for an hour now. I can't remember it, but she lived in Texas and saw the paint rock lights. She can probably comment a little bit better, but I don't know if that's the same as the ones you saw.
Paint rock lights. There's about 3 lights that I know of now. So the paint rock lights, the Marfa lights, and the Ghost of Bragg Road lights, which are the ones that I was close to. Bragg Road ghost lights.
Okay. Yeah, when you said that, I remembered, and I texted her. I said, hey, jump on here so I can ask about that. But she said she saw them, the paint rock lights.
I've never heard of the paint rock lights.
Yeah, they just come. Are they like, what's the Bragg Road lights?
So the Bragg
one on the long railroad track or the road?
Yeah, it's a long railroad. You can basically see them in the daytime. Well, apparently the best time to see them is kind of like when it's getting dark.
Yeah, they're dark.
Just glowing lights. I actually, the other thing I was going to say about, I have a UFO, I have a Bragg light case that I collected. So I was there for a month, right? So I collected a lot of paranormal stories while I was having this alien phone call. So one of my friends from the station told me about a UFO landing case. Okay. So the details are kind of sparse, but I think we could get something out of it. So, okay, this is my friend telling me what happened to my friend's mother and grandmother. Okay. So it was told to her. It didn't happen to my friend. It happened to her mother and her grandmother. Okay. So when my friend's mother was young, I guess she was like 20s or something, and her grandmother was also kind of young. They were driving in this area that I was talking about with the alien phone calls, Bigfoot, ghost lights. And apparently they saw a landed craft on the side of the road. Okay. Then they had a conversation where the mom was like, I want to get closer. And the grandmother's like, don't do it. Well, anyway, what happened was the mother was like, I am going to do it. So she actually did get out and get close to it. Okay. But then the story ends right there. Like the mother and the grandmother refused to talk about what happened after that. So it sounds pretty sinister. So they did see a landed craft there, which is pretty fucked up. They can't talk about it now.
Well, they're being traitorous for not coming out and talking about it with the rest of the race. It's kind of fucked up.
They could be on Rogan right now.
Selling him whatever.
What about you?
3 hours from you.
Ferrari, would you ever approach a landed craft?
Fuck yeah.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah. I'd be shook, but yeah, I'd have to.
I just don't
would
know
you
that I can
approach it?
run.
I'd be like, cure my erectile dysfunction.
That's the weed, bro.
Is it?
Like,
that's funny. Yeah. I've heard some cases. If you want to hear another UFO report I collected,
that'd be
close
awesome.
one. Okay, so I've learned something about UFOs. It's funny you said you communicated with them. I fully believe that they could hear you. So if you ever see a UFO, if you ever see one, if you're that close, I believe they could fully hear you. So what I would do, my advice is like, if this is what I would do as a scientist, my official advice for anyone who encounters a UFO in the sky or landed, is what I would do. Okay, first look at it. Okay, appreciate it for what it is. Try to get some details about it. Enjoy it because you're seeing a UFO. Okay. But then at the same time, you don't want to approach it. I would say turn around and go back home. But before you go, you should say this phrase. Okay, you should say, wow. Say it out loud. Say, wow, that's a beautiful UFO. I bet whoever's in it is intelligent, good looking, and like really awesome. And it would be really great if in the morning when I woke up, there was like $1 million under my bed. I'm just saying that would be nice. Wink, wink, and then walk away and go home. I think that's the best case scenario for somebody encountering a UFO because they can hear you.
You think you should just ask for $1 million and just leave?
Yeah, I would compliment them. Okay, here's the story. Okay, I was in a Facebook group.
I think that's pretty chill. I think that's pretty chill for sure.
I would adjust for inflation. I mean,
yeah,
I'd go for 2.5.
$1 million.
I'd go 2.5 all day.
Would you guys do cash or would you do gold? Because I thought about this.
I want Cash App. Just send directly to my Cash App account.
Okay, that's even better. Yeah.
Like you were going to continue that. What? I feel like we cut you off. I want to hear the rest of it.
No, yeah, I'll go back to it.
I'm just fucking around. Well, yeah,
I'll go back to it. No, but I have thought about that. No, I've honestly thought about like, should I have cash? Because cash, it takes up a lot of space, but it's easy to use. And I'm like, do I want gold? Gold is like less untraceable. I could just sell it. I don't know. I think about these things. What I would ask.
Melinda, look at this. Melinda checking in. People are missing the forest for the trees bigger than shit.
Yeah.
No, man, $1 million's not much now. You got to ask for more.
20 million.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, I'll say one last thing. I will finish the story, but one last thing. What I really would like, I think, this is what I would like. I would like a wallet, a magical alien wallet that every day I open it, there's $1,000 in it once a day. I think that would be cool. I could deal with that.
What about every time you opened it, there was $1,000?
Yeah, you would still be limited by how many times you'd eventually get tired of opening it. So
I would not get tired of opening it.
If it was a Velcro wallet, it might get kind of annoying.
You might wear it out.
That'd be the crux. I'm so introverted, I wouldn't want anybody to hear me open my wallet, so I'd get like $2,000 a day.
Yeah, you're loudly opening your wallet.
Enough for Wendy's, please. I just want to eat.
Falling out with cash, like it's over. Gosh, this guy with the Velcro wallet. But
okay, so my story.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, so this is how I found a story. I was in a random Facebook group. Somebody posted a comment. Has anybody ever seen an alien? Okay, and I commented, yes, I have, because I have memories of seeing 2 aliens in front of me. That's another story. Okay, but then this guy, he read my message. He wasn't the original poster, and he messaged me directly. Okay, this is a young man. I remember he was in his 20s, and he was black. He was studying to be a dentist. He was, early college. And this is what he told me. He said, hey, I messaged you because I saw that you said you saw an alien. And he said, I want to tell you what happened to me, but I don't like being judged. I don't like talking about it, but I do want to tell somebody. And I was like, okay, yeah, dude. I was like, tell me, I will not judge you. Okay, so this is what he said. He said, about 5 years earlier, he was a teenager. He was 15, okay? And he was very cocky. He was like a bully. He wasn't a good kid, basically. He said he was alone in a field and he saw a UFO in the sky, okay? Now, what did he do? He didn't do what I recommend, okay? He actually started yelling insults at the UFO. That's what he said. Started talking mad shit, all right? That night, something happened to him, okay? He said he woke up and there was at least 3 very, very ugly reptilian gray type aliens in his room. They're very terrifying. Yeah. They weren't the gray skin. They did have the big head, but they were just reptilian. He said one of them was like walking on his wall, like defying gravity. Yeah. And he said he was paralyzed. He couldn't move. He was terrified, obviously. He said he could tell they were trying to communicate with him mentally, okay? But it wasn't coming through clearly because he was scared. But he was like, I knew exactly what was happening. I knew why they were here. They were mad at me because I insulted them. And that's why they came to fuck with me, because I talked shit to them. Yeah, anyway, it ended. It ended. And since that time, he never heard back from them, but he was still paranoid it might happen again. But he did say it changed him, and he wasn't that way anymore. He wasn't the type of person to yell random insults. So that's why I say,
pretty cool.
You should be nice.
Pretty cool. Yeah, I think I would definitely be nice if I saw a UFO. I'd be nice to it. I would be very respectful. But I still think that I would approach.
Okay, but I was going to tell you this, but first do it cautiously, because
I'm sure I'd be very cautious.
They give heat off, and they could give deadly radiation off. That
has been documented. A lot of stuff like that people get radiation poisoning and just die from being around this.
Not all the times, not every time, but sometimes.
Maybe that's Walton got abducted because maybe they hit him with their beam or something like that, and they felt bad about it. Maybe.
What about how Bob Lazar said when he walked underneath the craft, he couldn't see it?
That's crazy.
That would blow my mind. Like you're next to this thing, but if you get underneath it, you can't see it. It's not there.
Wow,
makes sense.
That's a new detail. I hadn't heard of that one.
Yeah, he talks about how it reflects the light around it and just observe. I don't know if it's a camouflage or just a feature.
Like I wonder if Bigfoot could do that. I wonder with their hair. I've heard some people say that Bigfoot hair is maybe reflective, and that's kind of how it camouflages. But I also think they stay still. I believe they stay very, very still, and that helps a lot.
What's that called? Clip out? The hot clipping. I think Bigfoot hot clips.
Yeah.
I think he probably has like that first line of defense is the way he can instantly camouflage, maybe like a chameleon. I don't know.
I think if you no clip and you haven't beat the game yet, though, it'll mess up and you can't finish up the game.
You can't no clip too much either. You'll break the system as well. That'll also happen.
Crazy.
What is that?
Be a little bit careful.
I keep thinking of that game where it's like an endless yellow halls labyrinth. The Bottomlands, what it's called. What is it called? Oh my
Are you talking about that screensaver where the Windows screensaver where you're just going down a maze in first person over and over?
It's like a new game, like within the last few years.
Oh, okay.
And it has like all kinds of theories with it, and you're in like this endless yellow hallway. It's like the Borderlands, the Bottomlands, or golly, I just watched a theory on it yesterday.
Oh, it's not Backrooms, is it?
Yeah, Backrooms.
Backrooms.
Yeah.
Backrooms, yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, that creeps you out.
Oh, okay, look, I wanted to ask another question. Why Bob Lazar not seeing the ship with it underneath sounds like Klingon cloaking device in Star Trek.
Yeah. It's almost like a bug that became a feature. He said he didn't really mean to do it. It's just the way the gravity acted.
Oh.
The gravity defying feature caused it to do that.
All right, here's my question. We've already talked about why the government's not going to release high quality UFO footage, but my question is, what's stopping humans, non-military, you and me, from taking that picture? I think I have an answer, but what do you guys think?
They're not presenting themselves to us. They're not allowing you to get footage. They don't want you to.
I think it's the same reason that we can't get a Sasquatch. I think they sense the camera. They can make you lose time. I think that if somebody's out there with a like one of these,
Mhm.
then they're like, don't materialize into that guy. He's going to pop you with 300 millimeters. And I think that's almost as simple as that. They can read your mind. It's in space. They say it's there.
What about this? I wonder. I'm not sure. Hypothesis only, but I wonder. Okay, perhaps the military does have that footage, and I was thinking, why would they have it? Well, the amount of technology they have for cameras and radar and all that stuff, it's incredibly expensive. It's like millions of dollars, tens of millions of dollars. So perhaps is that what's stopping? Is it just financial? Like if we could afford our own cutting edge $1 million equipment, could we do it ourselves?
Probably.
Yeah, in there the 50-year rule. Whatever we can imagine, the government's 50 years ahead.
Mm-hmm.
That's what they're saying now. I don't know how credible it is because I heard it from a bunch of people.
I buy it.
Imagine 50 years on top of what we can think of now.
You've seen the missile defense systems, like I think it's like CRAM or something like that. You've seen those things that like machine guns that lock onto the missiles, and it looks like lasers coming out of them. They shoot down missiles. They have videos of them on YouTube, but that technology is crazy. We've had that for I couldn't even tell you.
I'm probably slightly more familiar with that than I can talk about, but yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Cool beans.
Wild Trees knows.
There you go.
Yeah, we love the military.
I'm here in the rocket. Yeah, I'm here in the Rocket City, baby.
Nice.
Huntsville, Alabama.
I love Alabama, dude. I'll be going through Mobile not too long from now.
Lock your doors.
Yeah, okay.
Well, you're in Houston, so you know the protocol.
Yeah, I sleep with my doors unlocked.
Apparently, Houston is the place where people drive trucks like mine get their catalytic converters stolen.
I guess so.
I was like, that is insane. Why Houston? Look what everybody talks about.
Yeah, if somebody would take mine right now, they'd be doing me a sweet favor.
It's like sweet ricer.
Yeah, we've got this big Chevy 3500 15-passenger van that we have to take up to Boston in a couple days. Cylinder 1 and 8 are misfiring, so somebody to come rip that thing off. I see it. Maybe
how long of a trip is that to Boston?
8 hours.
Me and we were planning a trip to a Minnesota Bigfoot hotspot. Me and Wild Trees are.
That'll be cool.
And it's an insane amount of time. It's like 19 hours in a car for me and 22 for him.
I might have to catch a flight.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. The road trip alone would sound cool, but I don't know if I could leave my family for that long. But God, I want to go. I know that something would happen if we went.
Dude, I went to Roswell not too long ago. Like, we were going from Houston.
Really?
Yeah, we drove from Houston to Sacramento, and I was like, yeah, we have to stop in Roswell. But by the time we got there, it was fucking 3 o'clock in the morning. Everything was closed. So, like, me and my friends are just walking around being punk asses in, like, this fucking closed-ass alien town. It was so weird. Like, the McDonald's is shaped like a UFO, but it's closed. I was like, at least McDonald's is 24 hours. We can go to the UFO McDonald's and shit. We get up there, it's closed. None of the lights are on. It's fucking sucked. But they had so much cool stuff that, like, I wanted to live there.
You didn't go to the black mailbox or anything?
No.
I just wonder what that experience is like.
It's
got to be kind of boring. Like if you're out there,
because they have it's just all this novelty, just knickknacks.
Yeah. I mean, like the real stuff.
I have some video footage I shot with Microsoft Flight Simulator. I typed in the coordinates of the Roswell crash. And with Microsoft Flight Simulator, I flew over the exact crash site, and I got to see what it looks like. It uses like satellite images to make the 3D model. It was
the newer flight simulators.
Yeah, it's 2020 actually. Yeah, Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020. Yeah, it's pretty badass. But yeah, it's interesting because it just looks like a field, but it's still cool to see it in a game. It's more about the experience. You know, you're more like, I'm here where it happened. You know, there was a UFO, it was an alien right there bleeding his guts out.
Yeah.
I don't understand how they have that newspaper clip that says, like, more or less what happened was the UFO, and then like 2 days later, no, it's not a UFO. You just forget what you heard. Like how quickly they're going to try to dismiss it with
flying saucer. Flying saucer was the words that said exactly.
Yeah.
They said flying saucer.
It just went straight from that to Mylar balloon.
And there was like four bodies, I think, and 3 of them were dead, and one of them like maybe like a year after that or something like that.
That must have been one of the early. I don't think that was the earliest crash, but that must have been one of the earliest ones the United States found out about. There was probably just a few other ones before that.
Yeah, biggie. I mean, who knows? Maybe Maybe Abraham Lincoln was hanging on one of these fucking things. You know, just sitting there
Wouldn't that be something?
scratching.
Wouldn't that be something if it went back? Because even if it went back that far, they would still recognize what it is. I think.
He's like,
I mean, they would know it's
aliens are
technology.
real. Fuck, we gotta liberate these black people right now.
That's fascinating to think about, though. What if they were really disclosed a long time ago?
Civil War, fucking Abraham Lincoln found out about aliens. He's like, okay, this whole thing is dead.
He was a zombie hunter, vampire hunter.
Vampire hunter, yeah.
Checks out.
That movie is badass.
Well, now that we're on 1800s American conspiracy, where are you at on the Tartaria, or have you heard of it at all?
That mud flood happened. It was all a big cover up, man. What's underneath Paris?
See wild trees. You're the only one that's never heard of it.
I'm learning, dude. I'm starting my journey.
the mud flood will fuck your mind up because no one's ever talking about it.
It is weird, like all these wars, there's a video off the I think it's called Mind Unveiled. There's this channel on YouTube, and they've done some stuff in the town that I lived in back in South Carolina. They have like a bridge out there. It's called Poinsett Bridge, but they did some stuff about Poinsett Bridge where they said maybe it was a piece of Tartaria architecture, which I think is bullshit, but whatever. But they do have some interesting stuff on their channel. And they were saying it's like the War of 1812. There's a lot of like propaganda, and there's like this fucking picture thing they showed where it's like a bunch of like soldiers like cramming like the numbers 1812 down this dude's throat or something like that. It's so weird. But like, yeah, they say that maybe those dudes were just like the whole War of 1812. You know, they were just like going around just like burying stuff, burying old civilization.
It could be the reason that war's so covered up. You never hear about it. Hardly anybody knows about it.
Yeah.
Other than the Star Spangled Banner and the Johnny Horton song. It's like the only thing around that talks about it.
Yeah.
1814 took a little trip.
Nowadays, they don't even know the Pledge of Allegiance anymore.
Bunch of heathens. Scotty B's making an appearance. That's
that charter boat outing. We had a sphere whirled by the boat, 4 of the water. Wow, all 6 saw the crowd. 2 Air Force vets against the UFOs. Never would do. Yeah, my grandfather was in the. He did like he was like a firefighter in the Air Force or something way back in the day. I couldn't tell you when, but he said that he never saw a UFO, but he'd heard about one, and they made it like a real hush hush thing. Like there were some dudes talking about it and stuff, but it was like real low key.
Yeah, the one that was just on Rogan said when he talked to his admiral, the admiral wasn't even surprised. He was just annoyed by it. It's like just another one of these.
Who was talking to Rogan?
It wasn't David Fravor. It was one of the guys kind of similar to him. It's about a month ago. Just another Air Force pilot.
Ryan Graves.
It could have been. It wasn't too long ago.
Yeah, he was the other guy. He was on 60 Minutes with David Fravor.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah, he's cool.
That David Fravor thing, I don't know why they were not just freaking out. It goes along the lines of my thing. If you know Bigfoot exists or you are an alien abductee or your house is legitimately haunted and you've got a Victorian age girl walking down your steps every night, how do you do anything else? Like how do you go to work? How do you do that would be my entire life. I say this like once a month. If I go to Minnesota and see 10 seconds of Sasquatch, my life's over. Yeah. It's done. I'm in the mashed potatoes. Like I say, I'm in the mashed every day.
Probably like 4 years ago, I watched this video on what was it, the dual slit experiment. I think I did it for like 4 days.
I've never heard of that.
Yeah,
it's like the scariest thing ever to me. Honestly, I don't know why it's so scary, but something about it just really fucks with me real bad. It's just a
dual slit.
Yeah, the dual slit experiment. It's basically just proof that this is all bullshit.
Yeah, that's the best way of putting it, basically.
I think it's like a video game.
To people, and I'm like, yeah, I'm sorry for all this schizo babble I'm doing right now, but yeah, basically, it's all Grand Theft Auto.
Yeah, it's a video game. If you can figure it out and not realize that we're 8 to 5 every day.
And Grand Theft Auto, and you're flying down the highway, and all these trees are rendering at you and shit. It's like it pops up really far away. You know what I mean? As a little piece of shit brown thing. And then you get closer to it, and now it's got branches, but they're still shitty. And you get closer to it, and now it's got textures on it. And you get up to it, and there's a fucking bird in it. You know what I mean? Like, it's only loading what it needs to load. It's like right now I'm in Texas. South Carolina doesn't even exist right now. You know,
I agree.
it's just kind of it'll that DLC will be there when I pass through. But
especially in the college football polls, they do not exist.
Oh, come on, Clemson kicked that.
All right, Melinda checking in once again. Famous paintings of UFO. Madonna would say, yeah, I remember that. They got the UFO in the back of the Mary's.
Oh, I say that's just like, you know, a depiction of something. You know, they don't. People try to explain that away with it's not UFOs. They're not trying to depict UFOs. They're trying to depict like angels and the sun and the moon and different kind of things. I don't know what to say about that.
Well, an angel is an extraterrestrial for all intents and purposes.
Yeah, for all intents and purposes. Yeah,
I'm like, don't tell me it's not an alien, then say it's an angel. I'm like, well, you're still in the same wheelhouse.
Yeah, for sure.
Right, you're not taking my interest off.
For sure.
I'm all about that. And I don't even think it's a necessarily a bad thing to associate anything biblical with possibly being an alien, because it's at all possible.
Well, then you got to have the whole demon conversation too, and that's
I mean, but you're still in the at the end of the day, you're dealing with stuff some guy in robes on a camel wrote thousands of years ago.
Bro, you better put some respect on Plato.
Hey, Plato. talking about Atlantis, Lost City.
Hey, Atlantis is probably real.
Oh, Atlantis is totally real. Oh, Catfish checking in. Well, speaking of that, Calvin Parker is now friends with me on Facebook.
Oh, nice.
So I don't know what I'm going to do about that. I'm going to ruin that relationship.
Bobby, we got to get him on, dude.
What are you going to do? Sit around and cry on TikTok, or are you going to feed the family? You got to go to work the next day. It doesn't matter that, you know, some ferryman took you on a ship.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's great that the ferryman took you on the ship, but it's like, you know, nobody's buying this shit. It happened. Sure, it did. But, you know, I would love to eat again tomorrow.
Can you imagine, though? You're going to work looking at Karen eating the birthday cake in the break room like Bigfoot exists, you bitch.
Happy birthday to you. You're just like, yeah, I mean.
Happy birthday to you, Karen. Bigfoot's real, Karen.
Yeah.
Your Botox face isn't. I'd have an attitude, and maybe I wouldn't. Maybe it's just like how like you have like perpetually in that state of being in shock.
Yep.
What did she say? I'm with you, Bobby. My life would drastically change. I'd have to go to work, but
I'm going to work the next day, but I'm going to work.
I'd be talking to Wild Trees, Ed McMahon ass aliens asking for my money.
Yeah.
Columbia Publishers Clearinghouse. What? Michigan Triangle. Oh, that reminds me. I got to get that show together about the Bridgewater Triangle up in Massachusetts.
Every time I get that flight, I always ask the pilots about UFOs, and they always say they've never seen one ever.
Liars.
Gotta be. I always call them liars too.
I've never seen a UFO. You all say that, don't you? What's next? Santa Claus is fake? Come on.
Come on now.
Why do you get that blank? Why do you get that blank look on your face when I said UFO? Why did you zone out like
your
that?
eyes keep turning into still. Your eyes keep turning sideways.
Somebody's
you doing that double blink. Oh, I know how we can wrap this up, since my man Ferrari here keeping his secrets like Frodo Baggins. Go ahead, keep your secrets. I meant to ask it last week, and kind of a parlay. Have you ever heard the story of Billy Corgan seeing the shapeshifter?
Oh man,
Smashing Pumpkins.
I think I have. I don't like that guy.
It was on Howard Stern.
I'm gonna look it up as soon as I get off this podcast.
Yeah, he tells Stern about it, but he won't tell him specifics. But the long and short of it, he says he was interacting with someone and they changed shape on him. I
believe that, dude. What? Before I forget about it, there's a video of a guy. I'm never gonna find it. I don't know why I grabbed my phone. Like I was just gonna pull it up. There's a video of this guy, man. He's kind of like a fat dude from North Carolina, and he's like a military guy, and he was out, and there was a crash, and he like they went up to it, and like he wasn't supposed to get no closer, and he like got all the way up on it and stuff, and he was saying it was like a skin on the craft and shit, and like these dudes in black suits showed up, like these older guys. They were like slightly probably like in his 20s, late 20s, maybe mid to late 20s at that point. And some older dudes in their 40s showed up, like all blacked out, and was like cussing him the fuck out and stuff, and like bullying him around. And dude, I can't remember nothing about it. But damn, it's. I'll link it to you guys when I find it because I'm gonna look for it. But
the more we dig into this world, like doing these shows, the more we find out this is happening to everybody.
Yeah, this guy was so believable.
Yeah,
so believable.
Like sometimes you see these guys who you may be putting on like a little show, maybe have like
For Gaia. Gaia is all a show. That's funny. That shit is so funny. Like Emery Smith and stuff. Those dudes are so fucking funny.
You can tell the ones that aren't that are just terrified to tell it, but just want to get it out there.
Basically, what kills me is like there's like a divide in the community. It's like where the people that are all like, I know what it is. I'm all about the Galactic Federation. Like I know all the Pleiadians and all this shit. And it's like, yeah, it's interesting to be aware of that. You know what I mean? But to be like, yeah, I've got it all figured out. Like I'm fucking, you know, I'm a light body and this and that, and I know this and I know that. That shit is just so crazy to me. That's just so
yeah. There's and the Bigfoot guys who are in the leather hat with the camouflage pants on a mountain, knocking trees against.
So ready to just tell you bullshit.
Like you couldn't see a gray squirrel acting like that, much less a goddamn monkey.
Dude, I saw what for a little bit. I thought it could have been a Bigfoot, but dude, I don't. At this point, I'm just gonna tell a story. But I was up on it's called Paris Mountain up in Greenville, where I was growing up at. There's a bunch of radio towers up there and stuff, and we were up there. This is, you know, where kids would go. The top of this mountain, you could look out and you could see all of downtown Greenville, and you could see part of Asheville, North Carolina from up there. Really beautiful. But, you know, kids would go up there to, you know, make out in the car, and you go there, smoke weed and drink and stuff, spray paint the building and shit. There's like a Doppler thing up there and all type of shit. And we went up there one night, me and a group of my friends, and we ran into some friends that we knew that, you know, we didn't invite up there with us, but we knew these kids, and they had this dude with us that was like some kind of cool guy or whatever. But he was telling us little, you know, weird, creepy stories about this mountain and shit. And he'd lived there his whole life. I lived there my whole life too, and I'd heard weird stuff. But he's telling me extra weird shit. And we'd been up here so many times, and I'd never, you know, you never want to get, you know, you get out of the car, but you never want to get out and really walk too much around this. Like you might crawl under this chain link fence, try to spray paint something, or maybe go up one of the towers late at night and, you know, climb back down before anybody sees you on camera and call the cops up there. But this guy had us out, and we were walking along like this kudzu thing, and it was like on this chain link fence, and we could just barely get through it. But we walked, and he's telling creepy stories about like the 50s and 60s and stuff. And we walk up on this building. It's like, you'd have never known this building was there. And there's all these cars from like the 40s, all just deteriorated and shit. And it's this weird building. He said it was an old abandoned ranger station or whatever. And there's like a basement part of it that you walk in, the only part that is like accessible from the ground level. It's like a 2-story thing. And it's like the level that you walk in has like a well just in the floor. Super dangerous. Super dangerous. Anybody could have just fell in this, died. You'd have died, you know. And whatever. But we're in there, and there's like a ladder. It's so old. I don't know. Maybe they just trying to save space. There's no stairs, so there's a ladder just up against the wall. You know what I mean? Going into this hole in the ceiling that is into this upper floor level. And so my buddy Newman goes up this ladder thing first, and he got his phone light out, and he does a little 360 around the top, and he's like, "Oh, there's nothing up here. It's a little black chair in the corner." I'm like, "Black chair in the corner? That's creepy, dude. I want to see." So like I'm also on the little ladder thing, and he kind of comes down, and we trade places, and I go up, and I take his phone. I do my 360, and there ain't no black chair anywhere. There's no chair. There's nothing up here. It's just like a half broken window. You know what I mean? There's one window, a half broken window, and nothing. Just a bunch of dust and shit. There's nothing. And I look down, and I'm telling him this, and I hear this scurrying, just this little scurrying around. I don't know what it is, but I'm shook. And I look around, and nothing there. But you hear something moving, and you hear something like break what was left of that glass, like out of that glass, and like just run away. And all my friends that were on the bottom floor are all freaking out, like way worse than I was, because I just hear scurrying, and I'm looking around like, oh. But as soon as I hear that flop and like, you know, whatever, everybody downstairs is freaking the fuck out. They're like, "What the fuck was that? What is that? What is that?" And I get down there, and I'm like, what? And they're like, "Yo, this this little thing, like 3 feet tall, just jumped out that window, landed, stood up on 2 feet, and ran through the woods. And I went home, and at this point, I was playing a lot of World of Warcraft. I went home. It was probably about midnight. I got on Ventrilo, and I told all my friends, like, yo, dude, we just saw a fucking demon up on Paris Mountain. And they were like, you didn't see a demon? It's probably a fucking monkey escaped from the zoo or something like that. Like, dude, there's no monkey escape, bro. Like, there's only one zoo in town, and it was miles and miles and miles. And there's no monkey escape. There's a 3 foot monkey just up on Paris Mountain in this building that nobody's ever heard of. Just no fucking way, dude. So I've always been convinced it was a demon, but dude, it could have been like a little Bigfoot, maybe a little alien, or maybe just some kind of freaking weird escaped monkey from the zoo. I don't know, but I just remembered that.
There's like billions of stories like that out there that people you get like a glimpse.
Yeah.
Well, I think we're gonna wind it down now, Ferrari. Thanks for being on, and you're coming back because I think the universe put you in our lap for a reason. This was amazing. Yeah, Wild Trees has a show in just a couple of minutes. So anybody wants to continue on to the after party and an actual good show, just head on over to Wild Trees channel. His link is in the description. And thanks again.
I'm feeling really off today. It's not going to be that great today. Don't pump them up.
I've already got you fired up, man. This is a pep talk. I'm winding you up. And thanks everybody in the comments. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Please subscribe though. I'm at 99. Put me at 100. I'm gonna
go to 100 subscribers. Come on now.
Yeah, I have to feed my children.
Come on now. Trying to get that YouTube.
I need 4,000 watch hours and 1,000 subs.
We'll get there.
I have to put gas in a Tundra. You heartless bastards. All right, y'all. I'll go ahead and end the live broadcast. Thanks for watching, folks. Melinda, as always, thanks for being the smart one.
Thank you, Melinda. Thank you, Mr. Catfish.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Scotty B. Thank you,